Good morning, everyone. Looking at page 69, Tractate Shabbos. The name of the chapter is Klal Godel, major rule. We start with Ve'ela Munbaz Shigogo B'mai. We did the top, right?
I guess, yeah.
You know what? Start from the top. When you will err and will not do all these commandments, it's written, but the person who will act high-handedly will be cut off. From the juxtaposition of these psukim, we'll learn that all of Torah commandments are compared to idolatry with respect to chatos liability. Just as there in the case of idolatry, the pasuk speaks of something for which one is liable to chorus for its deliberate violation, chatos for its inadvertent violation. So too in regard to everything else, all other Torah laws, the law is that for something for which one is liable to chorus for its deliberate violation, one is liable to chatos for its inadvertent violation.
Right.
For mezid chorus, for shegeg chatos. According to Munbaz, we hold that a person is liable to a chatos even if he had knowledge of the law at the time of the transgression, regarding what was the inadvertence. If he had knowledge, and it's not inadvertence. Inadvertence means he had no knowledge. So the Gemara says, in a case where, Munbaz, according to Munbaz, one is obligated to bring a chatos in a case where he acted b'shegeg with inadvertence in regard to the sacrifice. He did not know that inadvertent violation of this prohibition requires a sacrifice to atone.
He did, however.
It's like thinking, not knowing the consequences.
No, but look at the next
Right.
sentence.
He did, however, know that the act was prohibited and subject to chorus.
So he knows.
He didn't know the consequences in terms of sacrifice.
But okay, if
He knew he liable to chorus, but not monetary.
So he figured, I'll get karas, and so what am I going to bring? What's the point of bringing the chatas for if I'm already toast?
Yeah, we usually have the concept of kimle b'derabamine that when there are two punishments, minor and major, you forget about the minor. And
God
just
forbid you shoot somebody through the chest, you rip his shirt, he's dead. So you get.
you don't pay for the shirt.
Right.
In American law, maybe you will pay for the shirt also.
Who knows? I'm just saying. I learned that in the.
That's the concept of kimle b'derabamine. But over here, according to Munbaz, is saying that if he did not know that the inadvertent violation.
Yeah, the inadvertent, but he already knows that he's amazed it. So therefore, I don't know. All right, let's continue. Let's see what they go with.
No, so that's the thing. Munbaz considers him inadvertent if he doesn't know the ramifications.
No, but he knew the ramifications of the
Chatos, but of course, but it doesn't know the ramification of a sin offering. So maybe to Munbaz this considered inadvertent. It's like if you warn somebody not to sin, but you didn't tell him about the punishment, then it's not a proper warning.
Let's say you see they're going to go, God forbid, hit somebody, shoot somebody, whatever. You said, if you do this, you're going to jail, or you're getting, you'll be chayiv misa, right? And you got to, the whole thing is kosher. That you told them. And so okay, so the guy says, I don't care. He does it. You take him to the bezdin. Let's say the bezdin was in power.
They have two witnesses. Also.
You got the whole kosher thing. So they give him. They say, okay, whatever.
Right.
So then he said, well, you're supposed to bring the guy. Okay, I'm going up. I'm going to get this. Why am I bringing a chatas offering? I'm already.
Right. In this case, he would not bring chatas offering. His death would be his atonement. But in the case of Koros, where there is no, Koros is a heavenly death. It's
So
different.
He has to bring it. I mean, maybe he wants to do tshuva, and I don't know. All right, bye.
The Rabbanon, the rabbis, shigas korban l'shmash gogo. They hold that just not knowing that what korban you have to bring, that inadvertence concerning the obligation to bring a sacrifice is not considered inadvertence. See, I told you, it's all by, if not knowing that you have to bring korban, is it considered shogeg or not? Is it considered inadvertence or not? According to the rabbis, it's not considered inadvertence. It's like you drive 100 miles an hour, the police pulls you over and he says, and you tell him, well, I didn't know that the punishment is 150. I thought the punishment would be $40. So that makes you shogeg. It makes you not knowing.
It makes you look stupid.
So the same thing over here. The rabbi said just because he didn't know that he would have to bring korban chatas on top of his chorus, it doesn't make it shogeg. According to Munbaz, it's considered shogeg. So what is considered shogeg according to the rabbis? As long as he acted inadvertently with regard to chorus penalty, even though he acted deliberately with regard to the prohibition, he is liable to chatas. So according to Rabbi Yochanan, what is shogeg in the view of the rabbis is sheshogeg b'chorus. He didn't know that about the chorus. As long as he acted inadvertently with regard to chorus penalty, even though he acted deliberately with regard to the prohibition, he is liable to a chatas. Rish Lakish Omar, he needs to be shogeg in both. He is not liable to chatas unless he acted inadvertently with regard to both the prohibition and the chorus penalty. Amar Rabba, my time to Rabbi Shimon Lakish. What is the reason of Rabbi Shimon Lakish? Amar Ka Asher Lo Yisrael Senu B'Shgog V'Oshim. But the pasuk states that the chatos offering is brought by someone who performs one of the acts, Asher Lo Yisrael Senu B'Shgog V'Oshim, that are not to be done inadvertently, and he becomes guilty. Unless he acts inadvertently with regard to both the prohibition and the chorus penalty, the heavenly death penalty attached to it. What does he do with the pasuk of Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish? It is needed for that which was taught in a Braita me'amoretz, from among the people of the land. What does it mean? The pasuk says, if an individual will sin inadvertently from among the people of the land, he shall bring his offering. Prat lemumo. This excludes a renegade. Renegade is a mumo, someone that converted to the other side from bringing a chatas. Mumo doesn't bring a chatas, a renegade person. It is stated in another pasuk, the one expounded above Rish Lakish, that the chatas offering is brought by someone who performed acts that are not to be done inadvertently, and he becomes guilty. And the next pasuk states, if his sin that he committed becomes known to him, he shall bring his offering. This teaches that only one who would refrain from transgressing as a result of his knowledge is inadvertent transgression. But one who would not refrain from transgressing as a result of his knowledge, that the act is forbidden. That person would not bring a korban. So what does shogeg mean? Shogeg doesn't just mean inadvertence that you don't know what you're doing. If you would have known, would it stopped you from doing it or not? if the knowledge would have stopped you. For example, someone is about to do an avera, Reuven, he doesn't know that it's asu. You come to him and you say, what you're doing is asu. It's forbidden. So he has two options, either to listen and stop, or to say,
I don't care, I'm
still doing it. So now his shogeg is like taking back, instead of you coming and saying, we're validating. If I would have, he did it already. Now, if I told it to him in the beginning, would he still do it or not? If he would not do it, then he's shogeg. If he would have still do it, despite the knowledge, then he's not a shogeg. Understand?
That reminds me of what happened when we were in the old building, and the rabbi had the water cooler on with the plug in. I said, that I once I said, I'm kicking on the compressor.
Right.
This isn't. How can I do this? I said. So I said to the rabbi, I could see this is usher. I said, how come you don't pull the plug? How come you don't? Actually, I was pulling the plug in before Shabbos after that, and they were putting it back in. Somebody was putting it.
Oh, wow.
So he said, don't tell them because it makes it worse. If you tell somebody not to do it and they're going to do it anyway.
That makes them amazing. But over here we see that they're amazing anyway. Meaning because if by them knowing it and they'll still continue to do it, that makes them amazing anyway. Because the knowledge would not stop them anyway.
Right, but isn't it worse that they know than they don't know?
According to this, no. According to this, since you would have continue do whatever you're doing.
I mean, I realized it. I stopped because I realized.
So you were shaking, but right. If someone else would not stop by knowing, then it shows that he was really amazed the whole time, even though he didn't know.
I mean, I thought it was okay, and then I realized it's not okay.
So it says, Rabbi Yochanan Aikro, Rabbi Shimon Lakish, my Ovidle. What does? None. So we're going into the right column. It says the Gemara attempts to a proof from a Mishnah below. Nan avis melochis 40 chaser achas. The primary labors of Shabbos are 40 minus 1, 39 melochis.
Right.
39 labors. Ravinan bo. Now in discussing this, we asked Menyano Lamali. Why do I need the Tana to specify the number of melochis? Omar Rabbi Yochanan. In answer to this, Rabbi Yochanan said, "Sheima son kulam belam echad, belam echad." Mishnah said, if someone performed all the 39 of them in one lapse of awarenesses, chayav al kol lachas achas, is liable to separate chatos for each and every one he transgressed, a total 39 offerings. Now, how is such case to be found? Bezodin Shabbos v'shigas melochis, with deliberateness regarding the Shabbos, and advertence regarding the melochis. Meaning, he knows it's Shabbos, but he doesn't know that these melochis are forbidden on Shabbos. There's two ways about the shegeg. Either I don't know it's Shabbos, thinking it's Sunday, or thinking it's Friday, and I know the melachos are forbidden on Shabbos. These laborers shouldn't be doing these things on Shabbos. But since I don't know it's Shabbos, then I'm shaking. There's another way. I know it's Shabbos today. I didn't know that I'm not allowed to play the guitar on Shabbos. It's another shaking. That's called doing Shabbos, knowing that Shabbos shigas melachos, but I don't know that the melacha is forbidden.
Let's say went out on a ship back in the day before they didn't have the electronics. All you got was the sun and the moon, and then you're going, I don't know, and it's a big trip. You could forget what day, get disoriented with the days.
Right. Disoriented, right? Bishlam Rabbi Yochanan. Now this fits well according to Rabbi Yochanan. The Omer Kivon Shishag B'Koris Av B'Sheizet B'Lav. one who said that as long as one acted inadvertently with regard to chorus penalty, he is liable to chatos, even though he acted deliberately with regard to the prohibition. This ruling of the Mishnah can occur in a case where he knew about the Shabbos with regard to the prohibition against performing melachos, but he was not aware of the chorus penalty for violating this prohibition. He is considered to have sinned inadvertently and is liable to a separate chatos for each av melacha, 39 in all. But according to Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, who said that one is not liable to a chatos unless he acted inadvertently with regard to both the prohibition and the chorus penalty. The Yodale Shabbos Maya. In what respect did he know about the Shabbos? With what respect did he know about Shabbos? He cannot have known that the melachos were prohibited, since if he had, his violations would not be classed inadvertent, according to Rish Lakish. So the Gemara answers, the Yoda b'schumin. He knew about the Shabbos with regard to Techum. Techum is the boundary. Rabbi Akiva. And this according to Rabbi Akiva, who holds that the prohibition to travel beyond the Tchum, beyond the 2,000 amis, on Shabbos is biblical. Man tono leo, the ton rabbanon, who was taught that which was taught. The rabbis taught Shogag b'zeh, he acted inadvertently with regard to both Shabbos day and the melachos. He knew neither that it was Shabbos day, nor that his actions were prohibited on the Shabbos. Like someone wakes up in the morning, he doesn't know what day it is, then he goes and turn on the light.
It happens.
Can happen, yeah. This is inadvertent transgressor stated in the Torah. If he acted deliberately with regard to both Shabbos and melachos, he knew it was Shabbos and knew it was forbidden. This is a deliberate mezid, like someone that learned in yeshiva or knows the Shabbos, he knows the 39 melachos by heart, and he violated it knowingly. That's amazing. He knows today's Shabbos, and he knows he's not allowed to do it on Shabbos. He knows the melacha, the av melacha, the secondary toldos. He knows everything. Still does it. That's amazing. Shogeg b'Shabbos is melachos, but if he didn't know it was Shabbos, he knows the melacha is forbidden. He knows he's not supposed to make fire, but he didn't know that it was Shabbos today. Or Shogeg melachos is Shabbos, or the other way around. He knew it was Shabbos, but didn't know the melacha is forbidden. Or maybe he said, so I know I'm not allowed to do this melacha, this labor. I didn't know that you have to bring a korban if you do that. I didn't know that the consequences are so expensive. I have to bring a korban.
Or you could say, look, I'm not supposed to start a fire, but I don't see where turning the light on
Right.
is starting the fire.
So who's Keman? Kemunbaz, in accordance with Munbaz. Everyone agrees in regard to the oath of utterance. That one is not liable to bring a sacrifice for it, unless he acted inadvertently with regard to its prohibition. Shvuas bitui, an oath of utterance, if a person swears by uttering with his lips to do bad or do good, anything that a person might utter in an oath, and it is concealed from him, he then violates his oath. When Shavuos speaks about it, Ne'elam Meno, he acted inadvertently, forgot. He made a Shavuot that he's not going to eat bread. Someone gave him bread by mistake, he ate it. One is not liable to bring a sacrifice unless he acted inadvertently with regard to its prohibition. Akol Moedim. What do you mean? You say everyone agrees. Who is everyone? Rabbi Yochanan. The most pshita, it is obvious. He come Rabbi Yochanan Eka Deika Koros. Because Rabbi Yochanan said, he come Rabbi Yochanan. When did Rabbi Yochanan said that one is liable to chatos even when he was aware of the prohibition? Eka Deika Koros, in a place where there is Koros. Aval Eka Delega Koros, but in type of violations that there is no Koros. Here, in the case of a false oath, but there's no chorus penalty, loy, he would not say this. Rabbi Yochanan would clearly agree that a person must be unaware of the prohibition to be liable to chatus. So I might have thought to say or to think that since he's liable to bring a korban chidushu, since the liability to a sacrifice in the case of one who swears falsely is a novelty. We do not find a mere prohibition for the entire Torah. We do not find a mere prohibition for which one brings sacrifice for his violation. Whereas here, in the case of false oath, one does bring a sacrifice for its violation. Therefore, even when he acted inadvertently with regard to a sacrifice, he should also be liable to a sacrifice. Kamashmalan Abai therefore informs us that even in the case of a false oath, Rabbi Yochanan holds that inadvertence regarding the sacrifice is not sufficient to make someone liable to sacrifice. What is the case of inadvertent violation of an oath of utterance pertaining to the past? He said, I know that I'm not allowed to make this shvuah, this oath. I don't know if I have to bring korban or loy. Chayav, he is liable to an offering. Hamani, whose opinion is that it's Munbaz's opinion. Lishnachrina, there's another version. Mani ilim Munbaz. Who is this Bais? If you would say it's Munbaz Pshita, it is obvious. One is liable to sacrifice in this case, and there's no necessity for the Baita to say so. Now, if all through the Torah, which is the obligation to bring a sacrifice, is not a novelty, Omar Shigas Korban Shmosh Gagamunba says that inadvertence regarding a sacrifice is called inadvertence. Here, where it is a novelty, is it not certainly considered inadvertence? Rather, is it not clear that the Vice is stating this according to the rabbis? Tuvta de Abai. This is then a refutation to Abai. Tuvta. It is indeed a refutation to Abai. Abai said that everyone agrees in regard to transgression of a non-Kohen eating Truma. That one is not liable to bring 1/5 surcharge for it. Unless he acted inadvertently with regard to its prohibition. He ate the Truma thinking it was chulin, which is not prohibited. However, he is aware of the prohibition, but is not aware of the heavenly death penalty. He does not pay 1/5 surcharge imposed on an inadvertent transgressor. The Gemara says again, Akol Moedim. Who is Akol Moedim? Who is everyone agree? All agree. Rabbi Yochanan, who stated above that one can be considered to have acted inadvertently, even if he was aware of the prohibition, but not of the Kohen's penalty. Nevertheless, in the case of a non-Kohen eating Teruma, Rabbi Yochanan agrees that he is liable to the surcharge. Pshita, but this is obvious. When did Rabbi Yochanan say that one is considered to have acted inadvertently, even though he was aware of the prohibition, only where there is cause penalty, of which he was not aware, but where there is no cause penalty, as in the case with Truma Loi, he would not say this. There's no need for a Abai to teach these. You might have said the death at the hands of heaven for eating Truma stands in place of the cause penalty. In other violations, and therefore, when one acted inadvertently with regard to the penalty of death at the hands of heaven, he should also be liable to the 1/5 surcharge. Kamashman Abai therefore informs us that this is not so. Death at the hands of heaven does stand in the place of the chorus penalty, which is two different things, chorus and heavenly death. We translate chorus as heavenly death, but chorus is a little different than heavenly death. Heavenly death, I think, is more severe. It's earlier than the death done by chorus.
That's of course is where you don't get any olam haba, you don't get.
No, I think it's not necessarily. It's a premature death. Cut off.
By the time you're 60.
No, it depends what the lifespan of a person is. Gemara, I think, in Saita discusses that it could be if someone was destined to live, like we bring the example of who was it? Achitophel. No, Achitophel. They say died at 33 or 34. He's supposed to live. There's a whole discussion. He's supposed to live till 68, whatever it was. So it says Chatzi Yomov. Depends what the lifespan of that specific individual. It doesn't go by time allotted for him. So if someone was granted 100 years, maybe he'll die at 50.
So how would anybody know that now? Now, especially now, we got the people dying from the virus. Oh, look at this, they could have lived longer, blah, blah, blah. That's where we're all staying in because we want to keep everybody alive. All right, start.
And the stars, Hashem Elokeinu, these things are hidden.
Yeah.
You might have said the death at the hands of heaven for eating Truma stands in place of the chorus penalty in other violations. And therefore, when one acted inadvertently with regard to the penalty of death at the hands of heaven, he should also be liable to the 1/5 surcharge. Kamashval Abai therefore informs us this is not so.
Here we go.
Death at the hands of heaven stands in the place of cause penalty. And the 1/5 surcharge for eating Truma stands in place of the sacrifice in other violations. Therefore, according to Rabbi Yochanan, if a non-Kohen eats Truma, unaware of heavenly death penalty, he is considered an inadvertent sinner and is liable to the 1/5 surcharge. Someone was walking on the way or in the desert. He doesn't know when is the Shabbos, like you said. Count 6 days from the day he realizes his unawarenesses, and then observes one day as the Shabbos. Chir Barav says, he first observes one day as the Shabbos, and then counts 6 days as weekdays. Mike regarding what issue do they disagree? Master Avuna hold that the person should count like the creation of the world. Just the Shabbos followed the 6 days of creation, so too does he observe the Shabbos after counting 6 weekdays. And the master Chia Barav holds that the person should count like Adam, the first man. Just as Adam was created on Friday and the very next day was Shabbos, so too this person observes the next day as Shabbos. Meisi v'melech b'derech v'indem was a Shabbos. They challenge Rabbi Chia Barav from another Baisa. Similar case, he was walking on the way. He doesn't know when it's Shabbos. He doesn't know what day it is. So what does he do? He observes one day as Shabbos for every 6 days. My love, does this mean is it not the same as count 6 days and then observes one day as Shabbos? Moses Loy. He first observes one day and then counts 6. So this Baisa is different than the other Baisa who said that you first count 6 days and then you keep one Shabbos and then you observe the Shabbos. He observes one day for every 6. It should have said he observes one day as Shabbos and counts 6. But the Tanya, furthermore, it was taught explicitly in a second Baisa. If someone was walking on the way or in the desert and does not know when it is the Shabbos, he counts 6 days and observes one day as Shabbos. This clearly reflects the view of Rav Huna. This is a refutation of Chia Barav. It is indeed a refutation. On every day of the sixth, on every day of the 6, he may work only enough for his sustenance, enough to stay alive. Except the day that he observes. And on that, the 7th day, he died, ? He works the day before his Shabbos, he works enough to supply sustenance for 2 days. But perhaps the previous day was Shabbos. Every day he works enough for his sustenance, even that day which he is observing as the Shabbos. So what would be the difference for him? By making Kiddush and Avdalah. If he has partial knowledge of the day on which he embarked on his journey, he remembers how many days ago he left, but he does not recall what day of the week that was. He may perform melacha on that entire day. Also, it's obvious, the tema kiv the Shabbos and Nofik, since he would not depart on the Shabbos. He would also not depart on the eve of the Shabbos. But even if he departed on Thursday, he should be permitted, would be permitted to perform melacha for 2 days. Therefore informs us, sometimes a caravan is available. And it happens that someone does depart on Friday, therefore the person cannot assume that the day he left was not Friday. A day called Shabbos, one who knows the essence of the Shabbos and performs many melachos on many Shabbos is liable for each and every Shabbos. How do we know this ruling? Amar Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravu Atrei Kroi Ksiva. There are 2 psukim. What are the psukim? V'shomru b'nei Yisrael es Shabbos. The children of Israel shall observe the Shabbos singular. Shomru b'nei Yisrael es Shabbos. Shabbos written singular. Chsiv es Shabbosai tishmeru. And then it says my Shabbosis, plural. It's one time singular, one time it's plural. Why is it? V'shomru b'nei Yisrael Shabbos. Children of Israel shall observe the Shabbos. Shmiru achas Shabbos esarbe. To one observance for many Shabbos. And my Shabbos shall you observe refers to one observance for each individual Shabbos. On the contrary, the reverse is more logical. Indicates the observance for each individual Shabbos. Shmiras Shabbos Asab, and my Shabbos shall be you observe, indicates one observance for many Shabboses. The Gemara discusses the third case of the Mishnah, Yedeshu Shabbos, one who knows it is Shabbos, performed many melachos and many Shabboses, is liable for each and every Av melacha. We'll continue page 70, God willing, tomorrow.